as we've just heard from the general, it is a time of change. I think we've all seen that, of course, war and global pandemic leads to a mindset, it leads to a cultural change, but we all need to work on it as well. The cyber attacks, especially in the run-up to and in the course of the Ukraine war, show that definitely society is vulnerable and we need more digitalization in the defense sector. We need more cooperation. That was what the general just mentioned as well, between the defense sector from the administrative side and us in the industry. Because basically the enemy that is working against a secure and safe system is threatening the cybersecurity environment as well. As you all know, it is definitely no secret that Russia, as well as government-linked groups, do have cyber attack capabilities, and often it seems that they are quite a bit more advanced than what we have, so there is room for improvement and definitely a need to do so. The course of war has also shown that, of course, there's always conventional weaponry that is in use, but the digital technology part of the war has definitely become more prominent and more visible for all of us in recent weeks and months also. So we need to shift our focus on those developments as well, because whether it is through satellite networks or the transmission of the information that is needed on all sides of the war, using drones or other digital solutions, are definitely the answer to a lot of problems we see in modern warfare. So, and as I just discussed shortly with the general, the Ukraine is showing a lot of skill here. It was quite impressive, at least for me, to see that the country is defending itself on the ground as well as in cyberspace. So there's definitely a lot we can learn from what they are doing right over there. Immediately after the attack of the Russians on Ukrainian soil, our companies here in Germany in the security and defense offered the German government help to react as quickly as was needed. But well, the official orders took a lot of time. If you remember what the general just said, procurement is quite an extensive endeavor. So many export orders have not yet been filled or approved, and that definitely is a problem, because in cyberspace, in the hybrid warfare, the frontiers basically move together, and we have to act more quickly and combine the digital solutions that we have for defending ourselves better with the traditional warfare mechanism. And that is definitely something that needs to be addressed by the industry as well as the defense sector. So that is what we'll be talking about with our next two panelists for the next 20 minutes, because we saw definitely that the industry moved a lot faster than the administration. There were quite a few companies, and especially a startup as well. We'll talk to Andra about that in a couple of minutes, that just went to Ukraine to help them develop new technologies to work together to enable them to basically be able to better defend themselves. So the question I want to address and hopefully answer with our next two panelists is, how can we be better safe than sorry in the end? How can we enable the cooperation that is needed? What role do startups play in the modern defense cycles and the innovation mechanisms? So please join me in welcoming our two panelists onto the stage. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Andra Steltemeier. She's from Quantum Systems. Yes, come up. And Stefan Gazdag, he's from GENUA. thank you both for being here. I introduced us and the topic already a bit, and Andra, I told the audience that a few companies were quite quick to move into the Ukraine to help on the ground, basically, and I read an interesting article about that in the Times about you at Quantum Systems, so I think our audience will be most interested to hear what you have been done on, or what you've been doing on the ground.
Okay, so thank you very much for being here. Yeah, it was like quite a busy time and we are still within the process. It happened quite quickly. So in the beginning, we've been supported by local politicians who got us in touch with their Ukrainian consul in Munich. And they said, okay, we've got the need, and we've been we call ourselves like a scale-up. Quantum System produces drones, which are currently used within Ukraine. And so step by step it went, and then the procurement went so quickly that we still say, okay, it's a blueprint for the German procurement system. And on the other hand, our company also had the chance to grow really, really quickly. This means, especially in regards to encryption and security of data links. So, for example, we learned by being in contact through Signal to our operators who are using our system, first time being combat-proof for a drone is quite an interesting time, because you get all of the information through the log files back and forth, exchanging with the operators. And then we thought, okay, this jamming level is something completely new, so we really have to find solutions. And one solution was a GNS denied mode. We also implemented on a short term something what we call like interference avoidance licenses. So the data link hops within the frequencies in order to get still like connection towards the drones. And by doing so, it's not only the product itself and the company grow, but we also learned so much and could improve our product through this test environment, and then which was real war.
Wow, I think it is impressive, but also very good to see that companies were so ready to help on the ground, to go there to enable the change and combine the technologies that are needed in modern warfare, basically. What we've also seen is that digitalization poses new threats. There is always one dimension of hybrid warfare, but also poses solutions, of course. And maybe Stefan, can you tell us what your learnings have been from the past weeks and months, but also years, of course? Where do you see the development going, especially regarding the implementation of quantum technologies and cryptography? There's also, you said it, one of the cornerstones for the communication on the ground as well.
Well, I guess our biggest lesson learned is that you always need some kind of trigger, unfortunately, because we always want to use what we have as long as possible. Of course, there's always things going forward, but if you take a look at the internet, it was like a laboratory experiment in the 70s and 80s, and now it's like our everyday usage that no one can live without the internet now here in Germany and also in the other Western countries. And we still have this very old ecosystem. So if we introduce a new technology, we still have to consider all those old design decisions. And we still stick to it. We don't get rid of it. There may always be this one very old box on the internet that prevents us from properly talking a new technology. And crises like a war or a potential new attacker like a quantum computer, those are the triggers that bring us forward. And yet we try to still do as little as possible. And that's one thing we got to change, because we need a very reliable internet, we need a reliable communication, and this means that we have to be prepared. Being prepared means complexity, and we got to learn how to come by with this complexity.
I think you're very right in saying that the most fundamental changes often need some kind of real trigger. It is sad to be admitting that, right? Because I always think it would be best if we would innovate out of what we have right now and not just between catastrophes happen. But I definitely think you're right in saying so. I think we definitely can state that armed forces have become more digital in recent years, not just since the war has begun. There was also some changes before. There's been a new demand as well for digital capabilities as well as technologies as on the ground, but also here in the administration itself. Andra, what role will drones play in the future? Because drones have always been something that has been talked about quite a lot in the defense sector, but also beyond that. But where do you see its impact on conflicts?
I mean, drones are nothing new within the war. So looking back, like the past 10 days, years, they're within there. I believe, looking back into the history of strategic theoretical works like Su or, for example, Clausewitz, it was always about information. So your strategy within war is highly depending also on the base information, because you have got assumption, how is the enemy moving, what are they doing, but with drones, you've got like a high resolution picture in real time, and this is like a big advantage and can even be changed the way wars are conducted. The soldiers are moving, or the strategy can be easy looking forward, okay, what can we do as a next step? And also it becomes cheaper to get this information. Think about this aspect. So, and the war Bergkarabakh was, I mean, for me personally, having political background, it was something that changed. So even it's something old from a theoretical point of view, and it's still something where I believe step by step it will happen in the entire world, and it will change the way. And we can, if we will be able, especially in Germany, to provide to our soldiers who are somehow like defending our democracy, drones, we are securing them, and we are securing our democracy over there. So I believe, yeah, it will change the way wars are going to be done.
I think it's quite interesting that you both put some emphasis on the importance of communication, secure communication as well, and information procurement, I might say. I don't know, Stefan, do you see the communication system changing, or is there a new demand for more secure communication in the defense industry?
Yeah, for quite a few decades, actually, we've been used to the very same crypto systems, for example. So we have a lot of experience using like RSA or even DSA for signatures. And of course, Diffie-Hellman. Diffie-Hellman is like omnipresent. It's like everywhere. If you need a key exchange, a secure key exchange anywhere in the world with different communication protocols, it's the go-to crypto system. Now we know that a quantum attacker might be able to actually break it. So we need alternatives. And those alternatives are just no drop-ins. So we have to build something around it. And we've talked about warfare. So if someone tells me, design the most secure communication protocol, the most secure communication system, so that it's actually quantum safe. A quantum attacker won't be able to attack it. And a soldier on the front line needs to use this. Then of course I can design a very safe protocol, a very safe system, use a very safe crypto scheme. But it doesn't help if the soldier at the front line isn't able to communicate, because the legacy network prevents him from actually doing so. And the bad thing is, like decades ago, the way to go for actually encryption was to send code books everywhere. For example, the Enigma machine. And yet today, this would still be like the fallback. So if our network breaks down now, this is what we have to do. We have to take like decade-old technology to be able to communicate again and have this key distribution problem. And that's our main problem right now. Taking new alternatives, using crypto schemes that we are not familiar with, including those into communication protocols and also implementations, because implementation security is a very important part. Most attacks are not done because a crypto system failed. It's because there was an implementation error in the software, in the actual implementation. And that's what we have to take care of. Making good protocols, making protocols that are not only secure, but also practicable, find very specific settings for diverse use cases, and there we lack a lot of experience, and that's why so many people are working on quantum safe crypto right now and yet have a hard time. So many really intelligent people working on a problem we somehow can't really fix.
So we need a better plan B as well as a better plan A, basically. That's what I'm hearing. Because if our plan B is a decades-old system, it doesn't really sound that good.
Well, it's what we know how it works best. Yet there's always like a trade-off. And what we have to find is like the trade-off we can live with. And for military purposes, for example, it will still be like encryption with little machines and codebooks and sharing codes. That's like the basic fallback solution. And that's why we have so many problems like having a really secure internet, and even for like very special applications. I work with GENUA, and we are working in a high security field for agencies, for military appliances, but also for industry as well. And we have a hard time right now making practicable and secure solutions. And with a quantum attack, with all those new paradigms, like also zero trust, which is a very valid approach, but it's like a very diverse communication ecosystem, and there's like so many corner cases, there's so much we have to test, there's so many applications we have to secure, and it's getting worse and worse. Because now we want to use like classical crypto, we want to use like post-quantum crypto. That's not the quantum safe crypto scheme that we can just use, so we gotta probably use two, for example, for some use cases. And that's like the complexity again. There's complexity, and for the last 30 years, we didn't really like, talking about the internet community, we didn't really take care of learning how to handle complexity. We tried to omit it, and it's a good approach. Making systems as easy, as simple as possible is normally the best way to go. But now we lack the experience to actually just include more secure mechanisms, including fallback mechanisms. For example, designing systems in a way that if there's something failing, there's a fail-safe mechanism just taking care that nothing leaks, that no attacker is successful.
But definitely a better fallback mechanism or system than the one that is in place right now. I know, Andra, that the securing the communication is something that you are obviously working quite a lot on and hard for. Can you tell us a bit more about your recent advancement, basically? Because what I'm hoping to achieve right now is finding a better fallback solution than a decades-old system that we have in place.
So the key is the communication, because the drone in the air, which doesn't give you the information to the combat, it doesn't help. That's basically it is. So we worked on that because we saw, well, everything got more and more digitalized, right? So the combat, joint fire support, and it helps also to make a more profound decision making and a quicker decision making, where seconds can be key. But in regards to our drones, so it has been like it has been a step-by-step approach, and by that, and of course, on a long way, there's something that we are hoping that it will be so stable that it won't be jammed, it won't be spoofed anymore, and we see that. And what we're doing right now is we need to implement the technology within our systems, right? So it's also concerning the encrypted data link, which becomes better, and then our autopilot becomes better, and then you maybe, what we are currently doing is then you can fly like the drone back like by on site by using just like the camera picture in your ground control when you know the area. But all in all, I mean, also the enemy gets better in regards to that. So it's not one way who's just getting better and more stronger and strengthening all of these data. It's also like the counter UAV, what I call that in the case of our drones, they also get better. They also have got more precise frequency. They're also the spoofing gets like, it's not something easy that's one way. So as a company, you need to be fully aware that all of these technology cycles which are going on, because technology, looking at the sensors, which have been so big like a year ago, they are now so small that they can be carried by our drones. I believe it's our responsibility also to include all of these advancements and more quicker.
So it is kind of a step-by-step approach that hopefully will lead us to the thing that you mentioned, mastering the complexity that we see right now. And I'm still kind of thinking about what General Zorn said about the importance of industry and the administration working together to enable the innovation that is needed today. I know that you both have experience in that regard. Can you maybe give some input from the industry perspective, how the cooperation with the Bundeswehr has already changed, or do you see it change? Has it already started, or is it basically same old, same old? Maybe Andra, you first.
Well, I think in this question I need to differentiate. On the one hand, we've got like this political will also to develop, growth, and push defense startups. But on the other hand, well, I think it's not a secret that you need to do business in order to get money, in order to pay all of these engineers, which are right now, I don't know, like 60 within our company. And so at the base, we needed the venture capital funds to finance us. We've got facilitator as the Bitkom, who can be our voice, right? And it's really important that we make use of these voices, but if you look in reality, the procurement and all of these requirements, and I just don't mean only the technical requirements, I mean all of these paperwork, this is how we call that within quantum. It's like ergonomic studies, right? It's environmental studies. It's like huge amount of testing, which is not just in regards to the drone. And at this stage, we don't have got the overhead of administration. And within Ukraine, we've been just so successful because it's like an off-the-shelf product. In the beginning, it was like, okay, how many vector can you provide us? Okay, we buy that. Can you send it to the Ukraine? Can you train? Whatever. And we said, yes, we can. And everybody was working during nights, and the engineers, and right now, it's like we're working close with the Ministry of Defense. And I have to say, they're really, really great guys within this ministry. And I don't want to blame them. But the procurement administrative work is too heavy for a scale-up like us in order to cope with this. And I believe that's the bitter truth, and it's the bittersweet thing, because I think it's also quite known that also our drones got financed by the Ministry of Defense. So, and it's like, it's good money for us, right? It's like they sent the money within a week later, which is for us really, really important to have got this cash flow to get the supplies in there within the company. If I would have got a wish, I would say, okay, this is our product, we can provide you in this and with these modules, with these sensors, buy it that way. But for us, it's like really, it's too heavy. The paperwork is too heavy, the process is too long. If we just would wait for German tenders, I guess quantum wouldn't existing anymore.
Okay, that is quite a statement. I thank you for your honesty, because I think that are exactly the pressure points we need to push to make the change happen that the General definitely wants to see. As you just said, the people in the Ministry of Defense, they are very willing to learn, they're very willing to buy, but the system itself is so cumbersome that basically you are not integrated, right? Because the processes doesn't fit together. And I think that is definitely something that needs to change. What I also took from the discussion with the general is that there's, of course, more demand for the knowledge that is gathered in the industry, or that has been gathered in the industry already. Do you at GENUA see this change happening as well? Is there more demand? Are there more questions? Or is it basically the political will that Andra mentioned, but not really a change happening right now?
Yes, there's definitely a change. People want to be safe, they want to be secure, and there got to be providers for that. The problem is, like, really again, having this collaboration, and there's a lot of collaboration. Talking about post-quantum crypto, tomorrow there will be a meeting here in Berlin under the supervision of the BSI, and there will be a lot of industry, and it will be like, I'll be there. I'll be there like, hi, I'm Stefan, I'm doing post-quantum crypto. Here's what I've experienced within the last month, and I swear I'm trying to do better next month. And that's how it works right now. People are trying to get this practical experience, trying to implement stuff, trying to test it in like real-world scenarios, and there's a lot of communication between those partners, between the agencies, between the industry, and we're gaining more and more experience on it. And there's definitely a change. There's also, like, people see there gotta be this change. It's just like we don't really know how to go this very specific way that leads us to our goal. There's like so many ways right now, and together we gotta figure out where to go and how to make it secure, how to make it available to everyone. Talking about standards as well as products that you can buy actually off the shelf. And that's where we're heading right now. There will be a change. There will be just not the single solution that works for everyone.
The solution that works for everyone. It will definitely be one where we work together, where there is more collaboration, leaner systems, more agile system, a bit less paperwork would be nice as well. Stefan, Andra, I thank you so much for being here, for being so open, for answering all of my questions. I hope that you all here will be discussing this further, because it is not enough to just do the panel discussion today for 20 minutes and then see, okay, yeah, there needs to be change happening, because change happens when we all work towards the same goal. And I think the goal has been made clear to all of us today, thanks to you both. So, yeah, I hope we'll continue the discussion. I hope to see you both soon, you as well. And I'm giving the stage back to Sarah, and let's talk a bit more behind the stage. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.